James Comey and Rogers were less than open with what was actually going on towards the Trump administration by the intel community. It's explosive. We need to really jump out here and find out what's going on. And Adam Schiff coming to a microphone and playing games in front of it doesn't fix anything. This is big news.
Boom! Explosive.
It is. It is.
It's a phony. Okay. I mean, can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead. We have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
I'd like to say that, first of all, the first investigation out of this ought to be Nunes for leaking that information out. Secondly, he didn't tell his Republican colleagues. Third, they said the FISA court had authorized the investigation of 2 foreign nationals. That the names may or may not have come up with some people in the Trump administration. Trump said that Barack Obama tapped him. He lied then. The people confirmed that he lied. He's now, Nunes is down there, and what has he accomplished? 2 things. He's muddied up the Russian investigation, and he's given Trump a little bit of cover for his lies. And, I mean, it is so transparent. And, by the way, I would be surprised if the White House didn't give him that stuff to go with anyway.
Can I respond Bob's upset about leaks now.
The big picture of whether Trump is vindicated or not, it doesn't matter if it vindicates him wholly, because if you take this is all about a tweet. It's a tweet in the broadest sense. It doesn't have to do with him being specifically proven correct. The fact, it's like saying you were assaulted, but they only grabbed your arm. Technically, they're the same thing. So he's saying, like, Obama was tapping me, but it turns out that maybe it was an administration doing some kind of incidental collecting. Incidental collecting, by the way I look at that, that's like when you take a picture of your wife on vacation and behind you is some stranger picking his nose.
Can I just point out why this really does matter, though? Because we've understood that this was an investigation into Russian ties to the Trump administration. According to Devin Nunes today, it's not the Russians. There had to be a FISA court request for surveillance of other people.
Different issue.
No, but
that has nothing to do with Russia.
You know what does matter, Bob? On Monday, we heard Comey and Rogers say that
truth.
there is not there hasn't been, nor is there an ongoing investigation.
Is there anything to do with Obama tapping Trump?
These 2 things
and
can't
Trump
be true.
lied and Obama
These 2 things can't be true.
You want to continue to support this guy's lies? Go ahead.
Dana.
I think it raises a lot more questions than it answers. Maybe that's the point. I think that we also know that if the White House really wanted to get to the bottom of it, they could do it tonight and get everybody over there. They could look at these warrants. They could find out what the warrants were for. And that doesn't mean that the FISA warrants weren't legitimate about something that was going on in that area. That doesn't mean that. And also this question of just going to this, if I were Nunes, I think I would have held. And just give it a moment so that you can figure out how you can tell your bipartisan colleagues if you want to keep the integrity of the investigation. If you don't, then maybe this is the way to do it. I just know that from working in D.C. and knowing that you could say what you're going to say today, but what are you going to say in 3 days when this changes? And then we'll probably have more information. Maybe nobody was doing anything wrong, but it is interesting that this comes on the day that when the day after the White House says, we should all just move on from this. But then this morning, the headline out of the Associated Press is that Paul Manafort, the former chairman of the Trump campaign, did have ties to Russia, and they didn't talk about it. So now there are multiple tracks of this. Meanwhile, I feel bad for the fact that the American people are waiting for Congress to actually get some things done. And this is really making it difficult to focus on bringing jobs back to America. I think it's
Can I
bad.
agree with you? I think
Manafort said that was prior to the campaign.
There's a good chance that everything was done properly to the letter of the law of the FISA court. My problem, again, is when you have when the intel community basically saying there hasn't been an investigation into the Trump administration, there's not one going on now, and now we find out via leakers or whistleblowers that that's
incidental collection is not an investigation about a certain people.
Oh, you have to go to the court to apply for a warrant. And Nunes said this came directly from a FISA warrant.
Can you agree though that it may have been an investigation to something else that picked these people up?
But they said no.
No, he said no on the Russian thing, but.
No, they said there was no investigation into the Trump administration ongoing.
I know, but I'm saying if this...
So he's saying, what was the purpose of it?
It was the people that somehow the Trump transition team were talking to. And so it may not have anything to do with Russia, but there was something going on. We don't know if it was...
more.
Yeah, it's either foreign agents or it's either foreign agents, or maybe it's potential criminal activity that has nothing to do with Russia. So it could be something worse. It could be nothing.
But even Nunes said this was an investigation into 2 foreign nationals that had nothing to do with the Trump campaign. Now,
but nevertheless, there was incidental collection of material.
Right.
So was this about a Trump? Did he do this because to help vindicate a tweet? Was that it?
No,
that seems silly.
You could get picked up on incidental communication.
No one disagrees with that, Bob.
Right.
I just have a problem when the intel community can look into the camera, testify in front of a House and Senate panel saying it's not going on. Now we find out it was. You know what it reminds me of?
But what was going
when
on?
Clapper said NSA wasn't collecting data on all Americans. In front of a Senate panel, and then had to walk back.
I'm curious. What are you saying that they lied about on Monday?
I'm saying that they were asked specifically, is there an ongoing investigation going on? And were they targeted? No and no. And now we know they were, and they are.
But you don't accept that incidental collection about a different topic is not targeting and investigating them?
With the exception of the way it was incidental is because it went through the FISA court to do it, and you have to be very specific.
But what was the original FISA court warrant about?
You're going after an American. You have to go to the...
Who were they talking to?
If you're going to tap into an American, you have to go to the FISA court.
But they were talking to somebody.
We don't know anything.